sense of proportion, she talks about Cinderella. And with Cinderella, she always thought she was ugly because that's how she was perceived her whole life, or she was told, you know, you're ugly, you're not worth anything. Then her fairy godmother comes along and puts her in a beautiful dress, and she looks down to see that, I am beautiful. But it's not until she's in this beautiful dress and looking down that suddenly she feels beautiful.
With
So
someone who believes in her.
with somebody who believes in her. So it's like they talk about the military man who puts on the uniform and suddenly he is a soldier. You know, it's like, well, you could have been a soldier before, but it takes the uniform to
make
actually
you
make
realize.
you feel like you are the soldier. Artist uniform is either when you get it published and suddenly you are a writer, or when people tell you, wow, that's an excellent idea, or that's an excellent story if they read it ahead of time, then suddenly you feel like a writer. Until then, you don't feel like a writer. You feel like, oh, I'm just writing stuff, but I'm not going to tell people I'm a writer because I don't have anything to show that I'm
backing
writing.
you.
What we have to do is tell ourselves, this is who we are,
Exactly.
and the heck with everything else. If I don't look like a writer to you because I don't have a book that I can say it's hardbound and it's published and everything, then oh well, you know, I've got to look
That's what I was
past
thinking.
that.
Is to me, it feels kind of disempowering that you know you become a princess because you have somebody else gives you a ball gown,
Right.
You know,
or
you
tells
become,
you look like a princess. You should feel
Well,
inside
that's
that you are a
that should be
princess.
the message to girls. That look,
Right.
she was beautiful before. The animals saw it. She just couldn't see it in herself.
Yeah, that's kind of sad.
As artists, we are often in the ugly duckling position. We have been born into families that regard us as odd, and we come to regard ourselves that way. Sometimes our families are supportive, but our culture as a whole is not. Our desire to make things and to make something of ourselves in the arts is often reflected back to us as, who do you think you are? I call this growing up in the fun house. I love the image, you know, it's like the distorted mirrors. You know, you grow up and that's how you see yourself, how other people mirror it back to you, never realizing how distorted that is. And so your dreams, your creative ambitions come back to you as they're egotistical, unrealistic. Don't get too big for your britches. Who do you think you are? We really don't know the answer to that. We know something along the lines of, I think I might be. I have this idea of a story, but, you know, and it's like, but yeah, I feel like sometimes people look at that as, oh, you're just, you know, oh, you think you're a fancy artist now, don't you? No, I'm just trying to figure out, you know, who I am or who we are. A child says to you, I think I want to be a dancer or a poet or a kindergarten teacher. Have you ever thought of saying the words, okay, but it's good to have something to fall back on, which is exactly what we were told, which is exactly what she talks about.
Yeah,
not letting that
Would people tell us that if we expressed an interest in banking?
Well, I was cracking up at that because I was in banking, you know, and I thought, well, and that was me. I didn't have the high
That's when
expectations.
you had value.
Well, yeah. I didn't have the high expectations like that from my. Well, I did. I don't know. I did in some ways, but it was more about that, you know, piece of, well, you can't do that because that's just not realistic because you can't make a living doing that. And really, it, you know, in a way, it was supposed to be a supportive message that, you know, as a woman, you want to be able to support yourself and be independent, which is really important. But the flip side of that, and the way I took it was, well, you know, you can't, all these other choices are cut off from you because you can't support yourself.
Jack wants to be an illustrator. He would love to be an artist. And David told him one time that, oh, that's really awesome. And you know, artists don't make a lot of money. And Jack got so upset and said, well, I can't be an artist because I can't support myself. I mean, he thinks a little way
so
ahead.
he had the same experience that I had when I was a kid.
But David was not trying to put him down. He was just telling him, oh, that's awesome. You know, they don't make a lot of money, but hey, it will be really cool. You'd love to do that. And he was trying to actually pump him up, but he said the one thing that Jack it resonated, and it
You see it in their faces.
with him.
When Cassie read the Parade magazine that the New York City ballerina makes $16,000 a year.
Yeah, the salaries issue.
I said, it's okay, honey, because, you know, you just marry somebody.
Yes.
Oh, well, that's a great message.
Like, it's the only way. Because Michael's like, how could a ballerina live on $16,000 in New York
They have
City?
6 roommates.
Well, maybe.
And actually, that's the part, one of the things I loved about this chapter. You know, we tend to have very narrow ideas of every career, you know, but so artists is a good example. Illustrators or people in advertising that make a lot of money who are artists. They are creative people.
As artists, when a shoe doesn't fit us, like Cinderella, we may try to walk in it anyway.
Yes.
If we're told that it fits, we may start to use our excellent creative imaginations to imagine that it fits.
Right.
Sure, I can be a business person. I mean,
But
we can.
again, it's like we force ourselves into this choice of thinking it's either or.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Either we become an artist and we become amazingly successful, or we become an artist that is dirt poor, or we choose something else.
Yeah. Isn't it funny
There's
how it's so
plenty in
cookie cutter?
between. There's
Yeah.
time.
No longer fits us, and we must try to find a new one. That's exactly what I was telling you with my friend, you know, that sense that she was telling me, you know, the negative.
Well, your life doesn't fit. Discover your sense of proportion. You know, you're not getting too big for your britches, but maybe you are an elephant and you need bigger britches. That's the point of the chapter. We are all elephants.